It's very complicated for the apparel and footwear business, what's going on right now, but let's start with this VAT and why it might be a bad thing.
You know, it's kind of interesting, the apparel and footwear industries. We're 98% imported, and makes it very difficult. The whole discussion on that becomes very difficult. You know, the hot names in our industry were like Dolce and Gabbana. Now it's Ryan and Brady. That's Speaker Ryan and Chairman Brady of the House Ways and Means Committee, because they've come up with a otherwise brilliant plan called A Better Way. And that's the Republicans' new view on how to run the economy. And in general, I would tell you it's a good plan, but there's a provision in it called the BAT, Border Adjustability Tax. And it has our industry, I would say crazed is a good word. We're upset, we're concerned, we want to sit at the bargaining table, we want to talk, because, you know, our horse has left the barn many years ago.
Rick, why is it just the border adjustability tax that has your industry crazed, as you say? What about the idea that we're becoming more protectionist as well? We need to import things, you know, to sell to our consumers. It's not just the luxury industry that are members of your association, and we also need immigrants to work in these areas. So why not all of the other things that are being suggested as well?
Well, it's not just one-sided. In order to get a perspective of this, you have to look at the apparel industry in America. You know, 50 years ago, actually more than 50 years ago, believe it or not, Philadelphia was the center of apparel. There was more apparel made there than anywhere. And gone. Germantown Woolen Mill, Stetson hats, Botany 500, After Six Formwear, all these things are gone. Then you go back 20 years ago, 47% was made in America. Then you go back 10 years ago, it was 10%. The last couple of years, 2.7% is made in America. We would like to help bring more jobs back to America. We will do everything we can to do it. But this becomes a very difficult situation.
Realistically, you know, how much can be brought back? If all of these proposals are put into place, including a lessening of the corporation tax, which should in theory help small and medium enterprises, yeah, and including the BAT, which I know you're not too pleased about, and all of these other policies, if they all come in, do you see manufacturing in the apparel industry growing or shrinking?
I think all of our members would agree there are things that we could do better in America. There are things we can do more of in America. But the idea of totally reversing this based on the history I just gave you is an improbability at best. And the reason everyone is concerned about the BAT is very simple. Right now, you get taxed on your profit. Your cost of goods sold is deductible. Under BAT, it's no longer deductible. So maybe on a $10 item, you were paying 35% of your $1 profit, that's 35 cents. Under the new program, let's say $6 to import it, dollar profit, that's $7, 20% is $1.40. Your taxes went from 35 cents to $1.40. Yeah. That means prices got to go up 15 to 20%.
It was already an industry with many challenges. And if you look at the luxury side of things, we're seeing constantly headlines about things happening. So Riccardo Tisci leaving, for example, he was at Givenchy for a long time, but you know, there's changes at Chloe, changes at Barney's. Today we're looking at Macy's potentially being bought, and that's not even the luxury. And so, I mean, what is the future for luxury fashion in particular under a Trump administration?
I think it'll be good. Look, consumer confidence is good, and we know we're in a spot right now of being over-retailed. The jobs report today on our industry was actually fairly good, 18,000 plus just in our industry alone. However, you have also heard at the same time, Wet Seal closed their doors, American Apparel closed their doors, Limited Store closed their Sports Authority, Golfsmith, I can go on and on down the list. So a reconfiguration is going on among the retail industry.
Which leads me to my next question. How many bankruptcies do you anticipate if there is a border adjustability tax brought in?
Yeah, I hate to talk about the word bankruptcy. It's sort of not a pleasant word in our industry. I think that it's possible if you had BAT. A lot of people have forced with two choices. You either raise your selling price or you go bust, because your tax is going to be higher than your profit. You cannot survive under this. And Speaker Ryan has said he's not targeting any one industry, and I do believe that.
But
our industry feels targeted.
We spoke with Sandbridge Capital's Joel Mastro, who said that, you know, maybe this is something that works for some industries and not for others. In other words, maybe the president can leave out the apparel industry. What about those that are already trying to do this, trying to make it their selling point? I'm thinking New Balance. Obviously, American Apparel went out of business, or went into bankruptcy. That was a different situation. It may not necessarily have been because everything was being made in America, but is it possible to make things in America and sell them to consumers at a higher price point?
It is possible, but remember, a lot of the jobs left because of automation and because of OSHA rules. They left for different reasons in our industry. And you can bring some of it back, but, you know, America, you know, President Obama used to say we're 5% of the world's population. That's a fact, but we're big consumers. 70% of our GDP is consumables. People buy clothes, but can you make them here? That's a difficult question.
In New York starts next week. Are our high-end designers under threat now?
I think our industry is under threat. I wouldn't single out any part of our industry. You can make what you can make in America. The rest you have to make in the best place to make it. And this VAT tax is going to interfere with that. And we need to work really, really hard to be sure we keep the fashion industry in America alive and well.
All right. Rick Helfenbein, I hope you'll come back when we have another update on the situation. He is president and CEO of AAFA, that's the American Apparel and Footwear Association. President Trump signed executive orders